Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blue Collar Charlie. I'm your host, CJ Allen, aka Blue Collar Charlie, of course. I'd like to introduce my beautiful wife, my co-host, Albina. Local Soul.
Hello. How's everyone doing today or tonight or this morning? Whenever you're listening to it.
This evening. We'll go with this evening. Welcome to the new podcast studio. We have a little bit new ambiance going on here.
Lights.
We have a lot of space where we are, so I decided to utilize it. We got the gym over here to the left, and now we have the podcast studio over here to the right, and we're forever evolving. We're building it up. We're growing as we go.
We got lights.
We got some lights.
What do I love?
Christmas. Love Christmas. You know, you got to have some different color lights in here. So that's pretty much the newest update.
He did this morning, so
yeah,
hard.
I did it all this morning. I work like a maniac.
CJ has something in his head, it's got to get done. So it got done.
It has to get done.
Here we are.
I'm not the type of person just to, when it's in my head, I got to get it done.
Yeah.
I have
and it's a blessing and a curse.
Blessing and a curse for sure,
Yes.
But we got it done.
Yes.
And it looks great so far. And we're shooting the first episode, and pretty much an episode about, basic nothingness, I guess. No. We're trying to come up with like a
when we
like
started, today we're like, what are we going to talk about? And we're like, let's just wing it. We went to last night. We went on a date night. So
for the first time in a while. Yeah.
Thank you to my mommy and daddy for watching my children.
Round of applause.
And what did we do? We
went to AMC and we saw, what was the movie called?
The movie, and if you didn't see this movie, they're not paying me to say this. Go see this movie. It's called Sound of Freedom. And this movie is so important. And it's so important for parents to watch this because this is a true story. CJ was tired, so
at first
it's a very emotional movie, and it's not a lot of, in the beginning. It's a lot of like sad music and just like moments and flashbacks and trying to build it up.
A lot of fading from scene to scene, like a lot of talking, like building up like the scenario. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, and it just took a while to get to
crying.
Yeah, she was
literally, as soon as the movie started, crying. Because you just think about your kids.
They had to do like a older girl with a younger son.
Same as our kids.
Yeah, it's the same as our kids, and it struck a chord with us. And it was a sad movie. It just took a little while for it to take off for me. Once the action kind of kicked in, it was a little bit of a better movie.
And it was cool. They showed like the last. So first, like backstory. There's movies about Tim Ballard. He was a what was he? Homeland Security agent. And he was in the Department of Child Trafficking. And for people that are blind in this world and they don't think that this world is evil, we need to wake up because this world is so evil. And kids are getting sold every single day into slavery and into these really bad people's hands. And it's so sad to even think that people could do this to our God's children. And that's what they say in the movie. God's children are not for sale. Like our kids are not for sale.
Not for sale.
And it's just sickening.
There was a statistic that there's more people in slavery now than there was back when slavery was legal.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And who are the people in slavery?
And a majority of the people are kids that are in slavery. And being trafficked and transported.
And they say because you could sell, like in the movie, they were like, you could sell a bag of Coke one time. You could sell a kid a lot of times for 10 years, So it's something that in the world of money and business, that's a lucrative business. But like any normal human being would realize that kids should not be used as whatever they're being used for
profit.
Profit, yeah, and
money.
It's sick. And I just really wanted to, like, kind of express like the fact that this man, he quit his job to go save this little girl. This is a true story. Like this man had a job, and like it goes back to working, right? If you do something you love, it doesn't matter if you get paid or if you lose your job. He didn't care because this wasn't about money. This wasn't about his status because he already had found the boy. he
Right.
was going to be like already honored, and he didn't care. This was about bringing a family back together, and it was about so much more for him. And he's a legend, and I mean,
It's a
honestly, like, it's just, it was a happy ending in the
yeah, it
movie
was a happy ending.
for, because they did raid the island and they got all of the kids, not just the one little girl. They got everyone. And over the course of his time, they saved hundreds and hundreds of kids. So,
Right. Hundreds and hundreds of
like,
kids.
even though there's hundreds and hundreds more, thank God, he did what he could,
Right.
and you just got to watch your kids. I
You got to
mean,
watch your kids.
I don't mean you do too, I'm sure, but I tell Mia and Charlie all the time, like, you do not go with anybody,
Yeah,
like,
I tell
ever.
Mia, like, scream extremely loud, like, run
Yeah,
away,
like,
and we don't let them get off the bus yet.
well, they don't go
They're
on the
only
bus.
7 and 5, so they're not going on the
They're not
bus
going on the
yet.
bus until they're.
But it's something that you definitely have to watch out for. But that's something that's a lot of us, we go to the 9 to 5 jobs, we go to the accounting jobs, we go to the office jobs, we go to the blue collar jobs, the white collar jobs, whatever you want to call it. We go to these jobs,
Yes.
but they're not really selfless jobs.
Yeah.
Like, if something happens, like, you think about when you're driving down the highway and you see somebody that maybe had an accident or something like that.
Hmm.
There's somebody that's going to respond to that,
But there's so many that
and
aren't.
well, there's a lot of people who drive by and have their phones out and just
Texting and
and
driving.
watch, but those are selfless jobs. Like my father, he does a selfless job. He's a paramedic, plus he's a firefighter.
Hmm.
So he followed that path of that selflessness. Now he's at a point where he's the chief, and he has a lot of different titles now, but he
Hmm.
worked his way up,
Hmm.
through the ranks. But he runs towards the dangers when everybody else runs away. And
Hmm.
that's selfless. Like that guy, he went out to, it was the middle of a jungle,
By
and like
himself.
by himself with, like, they cut his budget, like, spoiler alert, I guess, like
Yeah.
they
We're
cut
just,
his
don't even
budget.
see the movie. We'll just tell you the whole thing.
Yeah. But it was, at first,
It was
it was
badass.
pretty anxiety ridden for me,
It
because
was. I didn't even think
I
I could
just,
stay. I told
no,
you.
well, I wanted to leave at
I
first
knew you
because I
did.
was like, I wasn't really feeling it, because
We didn't
it
get the
was
cozy chairs.
the cozy chairs, for
We were
sure.
like looking forward to it. I would literally, before we got there, babe, I was like, I'm just gonna take a nap. I was like, I'm just gonna take a nap because I thought it was gonna be the comfortable chairs.
Right.
Then it was packed, so it's
Tons
good
of people.
because people are watching the movie. So we had to like squeeze in. The movie already started. I was asking people the letters. I'm the
Yeah.
worst, and the people
Is
are like,
this
"It's right
Jay?
there.
Is
It's
this
right there
Jay?
on the carpet."
Is this Jay?
This is Jay. Meanwhile, someone was in our seats, so we sat in someone else's seats. But
It's okay.
but I really, although it was very difficult to sit through, I told myself that I had to sit through it because you know what? For all these kids that are dealing with all the pain they're dealing with, watching this movie and crying about thinking about my kids is nothing. So I felt like I owed it. Is that weird? I felt like I owed it to the kids, like to watch
Well,
and like see what's going on.
that's
And
how I felt when I watched Bird Box. You ever watch Bird Box?
what's Sandra Bullock?
It was
It's
Sandra
not called
Bullock.
Bird Box. It's called.
Yeah, it's called Bird
Is it?
Box.
I
I'm
never
pretty sure.
watched it because I struggle with watching movies that with kids and like because then I think about like
Well,
the.
that was a hell of a movie to
I
watch last
know, but
night.
I watch it because it's so important right now to watch that.
Yeah, it was. If you struggle with watching movies about kids or anything like that, then that movie that we saw
It's
last night is
very
not the
hard.
movie to see. But the movie Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, like, at one point when I was watching it, I was so engaged in the moment of that movie,
Yeah.
and like I felt that overpowering like sense of, this is my kid. I'm gonna do whatever
Whatever
the
it
fuck
is.
I need to do. Like, she didn't care what happened. And at one point she had to make a decision too. She had to, like, tell one of the kids, like, she had to pick between the kids.
She did.
And she, well, I don't think she did. I think
Oh,
she,
I was
like,
like,
chose, they had to take their blindfolds off, and if you take your blindfold off, that exposes you to whatever it was that makes you go crazy.
yeah.
So they were on a raft in the river, and one of the kids needed to take their blindfold off to see where to go, and
Oh
she
no.
was like about to pick, like, the little girl, and then she decided against it, and I think they ended up going on a crazy ass raft ride.
But to circle back, it's about
Circle back.
about being a parent and your instincts as a father, your instincts as a mother.
I immediately wanted to come home and just, like, hug my kids.
Oh my god, I know. It was just like, oh, and then like, I guess I could get like watching the shark attacks now, like I always think about like the kids. Like if that was to happen to the kids, like
She's obsessed with Shark Week, like the
I
shark
don't know. I've
attacks.
just
Like,
been watching it and I'm just like, I don't know. Like it's just so crazy to think like there's a sea creature that could kill you and like doesn't want to kill you, doesn't know you're a human being. And like if that happens to your child, what are you gonna do?
well, you see the video of the kid getting eaten by a shark, and he's screaming the whole
Papa
time.
and his dad didn't come for
And
him.
well, yeah, what the fuck are you gonna
Well,
do?
that's what would you do?
I mean, I would probably
I would
go.
still go.
I think I would go.
I would go. I don't care if I
Me, I
die.
have this overwhelming sense of like, I don't care what the fuck it is.
Yeah,
It could
like
be a
if I
bulldog,
die,
like
like
it could be a fucking shark, it could be a whale. Like I'm gonna fucking take that
die
thing on.
saving our kids.
Like I was talking with your cousin one day, right? And he was like, I was like, no, a fucking bulldog. I would snap. Not that I'm into like, I wouldn't hurt an
oh
animal.
my god, no, we love
but
animals.
like if
it
it
was
came to
attacking.
me and my kid, and it was like a fucking bulldog or a pit bull, something that like where the jaws like latch, I was like, yo, cuz I would fucking rip that thing's heart out of its chest. And he was like, Siege, come on.
No, you get in trouble.
You get in trouble.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, but what if it mauls the shit out of my kid?
No, I know.
I would definitely take that charge. He was like, Siege, come on. There's no way you would fucking take on a pit bull. I'm like, yo, Kujin, I'm telling you.
Vinny, honestly, I think he would.
In the moment, I would probably fucking kill that fucking thing with my bare
But we
hands.
don't want to kill dogs.
No, if it ever came
kids.
to it. But the moral of the story is, right, like a lot of the people who have these shark attacks, when they hit it in the nose, that shit does swim away. Like majority of the time.
The kids aren't going to do that.
No, the kids. Well, how old was the girl in the one we just watched?
Well,
she kicked it.
How old was she?
I don't know.
She was little?
I don't know how old she was.
No, I think she was older.
But yeah. I think if you
the scary thing is, and I want to just warn everyone, and this isn't being like too much. It's like it's true. In the past year, there's a lot more sharks coming closer to the water, like closer to shore, and so your kids could be in 2 inches, 3 inches, and there could be sharks there. So you just got to be careful. You got to look around, like
A younger me used to go swimming in the lakes.
Yeah, no, there's sharks in lakes. There's sharks in lakes.
How?
I don't know. I was watching the thing. They migrated because there was some type of algae.
How do you migrate to a lake?
Algae or algae?
Algae. Wow.
Oh my god, that's bad.
Algae.
There was algae, and they had to like swim. There's canals attaching them. So it was in a lake. They were swimming in a lake.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible if there's a canal connected to like a major ocean.
Yeah.
But
you got to be careful.
At the end of the day, you don't know what the hell is in there. You see these videos of like these fish that blend in with the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
And like you can't even see it until they camouflage in. You don't know what the fuck is in the water.
There's probably crazy shit down there. There's things that they don't even know.
Yeah, it's like it's less explored than supposedly our outer space, which could lead us into another topic completely
off the rip. But I think we could save that topic for another.
What, aliens?
Yeah.
Well, they're coming. Supposedly, no, I swear to God. We are aliens. Into Ancient Aliens and watching it on HBO all the time and into all the different conspiracy theories behind aliens, and I was into it a lot, but I've kind of fallen off so much lately. And a friend of mine that I work with, he was never really into it as much, but now he's like, bro, did you see the new thing that came out?
What is it?
There's new videos that are coming out. There's all kinds of like former government officials that are
saying
coming out, saying that there's
that's going to be the next thing. They're going to say we're having an alien attack. All of our stuff's going to go blank. I'm telling you, everyone should get a survival kit. We really need to get it.
That's kind of what I want.
Canned foods, batteries, flashlights. You get what else did they say? Obviously, first aid kit, knife, blankets.
Right.
Rain stuff.
Can
you imagine me trying to survive in the wilderness?
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
I
better get bug spray.
Bug spray. I don't think you're going to have to worry about bug spray in the wilderness. You're going to have to worry about like the people down the street. Like what's
that movie? What's that show? Walking Dead.
Yeah, like what type of situation are we talking about here? Like the end of the world? Like,
yeah.
Well, if the end of the world came.
You got to get cash. Can't have the banks
Cash
are going
ain't
to
gonna
shut.
do anything. Cash isn't gonna do anything. You need precious metal. That's what you need. You need like gold, silver, like that those types of things, like
They say to have cash.
tangible goods.
No, I'm not saying if the world. I'm saying if we go dark, like the banks shut down, and like government, like we need to have our own stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't even want to think about that because that literally gives me anxiety to think about that happening.
Well, it could be a possibility. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? The government.
Joe Biden while he's doing
Joe
blow.
Biden.
While he's doing blow in the White
I'm
House.
sorry.
You think he's doing blow? I don't think he's doing
They said
blow.
maybe he did a line like to wake him up or something.
No way.
I'm sorry, but did you see the 2 videos that came out of him with the girls, the little girls?
No, I actually didn't see them.
Oh my God. Okay.
Talk about child trafficking.
Googleable information. There's 2 videos. I mean, I'm not going to play it now. Are you going to be able to show them?
No, I'm not going to be able to show them.
But basically the moms were filming and he didn't know. And he went in her ear and he went, "Don't tell your mom what I told you." And then the other one, he nibbled on.
What?
How is this happening?
I don't understand how this is
possible. How is this possibly normal that people are watching this guy and saying, this is normal?
It's not normal.
Like, this is not normal. And whoever voted for him, I hope that you are waking up right now and being like, what the fuck did I vote for? And not even making it Democrat, Republican, just a person in general. He belongs in an old person home.
Yeah.
Like, he clearly has something wrong with him.
Yeah, he doesn't exhibit very many signs of being able to.
And he's running again. It's like, what?
He's clearly a puppet. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
I think that again, I don't want to make it political. This isn't like a political podcast,
it's not, but
nothing like that. But like, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on. If you just have an outside looking in as a blue collar, white collar, fucking 9-to-5 person who pays taxes,
exactly,
then you can just see that like this is fucked up, man.
The difference is
something's not right, and we're being led down the complete wrong path.
A dark path.
Yeah, a pretty dark path, and it's, when Trump was in office, things were definitely looking up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, there were issues within our society, and I feel like a lot of those issues were loosely based on the fact that he was in office.
Yeah, the news made it. So the news makes it so they divide, that's right. Their job. That's the agenda. The news is to divide. But if you go out on the street or you come into my office or you go with CJ on the subway, there's none of this nonsense going on. There's blacks, there's whites, there's Chinese, there's Indians. We're all talking. We're all getting along. We're all human beings at the end of the day. You told us the story. Yes. So we heard it already. All right.
All right.
All right. It was like nothing. You guys talked. You had a really good conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like we have to use our brains as, people, part of the society, and realize that it's not about Trump or Biden. It's about, okay, where were we under Trump? Okay. We were lower gas. We were our pipelines were open. The borders were secured. There was no war. It's like the only bad thing that happened was COVID. And that was at the end of his presidency. And like, how did he have control over them doing this in the Wuhan lab? And it's our government that was doing it.
Right.
So it's like, and he responded, and all the governors said he responded great. Right. He did so much.
They all used to say that he was the only person they could get on the phone.
It's crazy, man.
No matter what, like through the whole situation, every governor, every leader of every state, they said that they called and he called them, and he was on the phone with every single one of them constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I work in the elevator business in Manhattan, and I haven't personally worked in Trump Tower or anything like that, but I have heard stories from guys who have worked in Trump Tower, or know guys who worked in Trump Tower. And they all said that he is a really stand-up guy at the end of the day, because he would tip people left and right. He would tip the cab drivers out front. He would tip people within the building.
Everyone loved him
up until then.
Before he became president. He was on Oprah.
He was a superstar
20 years ago.
Right.
And she asked him if he would ever run for presidency. Like, people loved him, and then when he got into office, the fact that he's a normal person and could screw up all this toxic shit that goes on, They don't like that. They don't want us to know the truth, So that's what it's all about, So it's like we got to just use our judgment and just be smart. Like, the government is not on your side. It's just
Well,
not,
especially like for me, coming from Massachusetts, I always it's just like beating a dead horse because if you know me, I've said it before, but it means something different to me. I grew up around the Minuteman trails and going to Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market and seeing all the ships in the harbor where they had the Tea Party. All these things like
History.
the shot heard around the world, Lexington Green, where the Revolutionary War first started. All these things really resonate with me. Why did our country start? Because I grew up around that kind of stuff and I love history. So history is doomed to repeat itself. And the people who made the Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
the people who made these rules and laws and things to live by, they did it for a very good reason.
Thank God
Because
they did it.
America is the only place in the world where this freedom exists. And I always say it is that we may be under a false sense of freedom, because the American dream costs too much.
Mm-hmm.
It makes too much money to give up. So whoever controls things, say, yeah, go ahead, yeah, the American dream, sure, you're free. Spend all your money. Make your money, spend it on all this stuff that comes from China or wherever it comes from, these other countries. You know, but
the taxes.
then you pay all the taxes. We make too much money as sheep, as a society, for them to really let the veil up and let us know who's really running things, and that America isn't exactly the America that we thought it was in the past. Even the America from the 90s, it's a different America. Obviously,
I mean, obviously, you see America now, like even in our school systems, with all this transgender and, not being against any of that, but the fact, when you have small kids, exposing small kids to any type of sexuality, it's just not.
It's not right.
It's not right. Any sexuality could be men and women. It's just you
right.
don't talk about that stuff. So why are we talking about that in our schools? And
Right.
the only thing you could think of is, well, who makes up the curriculum for the schools?
Well,
who does this?
It takes a long time, it takes a long time to implement these things. It doesn't happen overnight. And us as regular people, we think in terms of tomorrow. We think in terms of next weekend. I'm going to get my next paycheck and then we're going to go somewhere or whatever it is. Like, we think in terms of weeks and months and years at a time. These people, whoever does control things, the people at the top, they think in terms of decades at a time. They think in terms of chess moves, right? Like, there's a book called The Art of War, and there's a lot of different ways to get at your enemy, and it's very slow, it's very manipulative, and it takes time. So
that's why
I feel
happening.
like that's what's kind of happening right now.
They got Joe Biden in,
slowly getting overtaken. And again, this is not like a political podcast. This isn't a political rant. This is just my personal view. You could disagree, you could agree, but from my standpoint of my bills and my regular gig that I have to pay taxes with, and hers that she has to pay taxes with. When I go to the grocery store, I feel it. We feel it. Everybody feels it.
He thought $150 was enough. It was enough maybe 2 years ago. Now you go and it's like you don't walk out of that store without spending at least $200.
Well, the one thing that hit me was a gallon of milk was $6.
Well, that's the Wegmans brand. I got the other one. It's $3.49.
Oh, well, excuse me.
That's why I have to go food shopping.
Well, I went.
Did you see all the stuff I got?
Yeah, you did get a lot of stuff. You spent like $100 more than I usually spend,
but you spent it the same last week, no?
No, I spent $160.
I thought $250.
Yeah, so it's possible to get it done.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to the.
Tell us how you food shop. Like, give me comment and let me know. Like, do you do your meats one in another place? Do you do everything together? How much do you spend? Do you go every week? Do you every 2 weeks? What are you spending? Like, what's the average? What would you say?
Do you hit up Costco?
Yeah, we don't do Costco. We're not Costco people because we can't. It's so expensive.
No, you end up spending like
$600. You're like,
I remember that one time we were in Florida.
My mom came.
And like there was like a pressure to go to BJ's because we didn't have,
everything that
we
we
didn't
needed.
have like a ton of
We
toilet
had
paper.
nothing.
We didn't have.
My parents came. They're like, "You have nothing."
Yeah,
So, but my
you're
mom
living on
paid for
scraps.
everything.
Well, there was one. It was I paid for one when we went to beach. No, she paid for everything. Yes, your mother blessed us when she came down. I'll get
And my
this
dad.
straight for the podcast. Your parents have been very good to us, especially over the years. But when we did go down, they did bless us with groceries and things like that. There was one particular trip about a month and a half before
I
we
remember.
left, and we went to
You were
BJ's,
mad.
and I all of a sudden I had like $500 worth of shit in my cart, and it was toilet paper, paper towels, like
household essentials.
Household essentials, right? But the thing is, we were moving in a month and a half, right? And like at the time, I had like $700, and I spent like $500 on all this shit that, like, to me at the time, we needed them, but not in mass quantities, not in like so. But for the record, when we moved, we left behind toilet paper from that BJ's trip. I'll never forget it. I'm
of
like,
course
son
you
of
won't
a
forget
bitch,
it.
son of a bitch. That shit is still in that closet. Somebody
I grew
got
up
good
with
use out of it.
the way I grew up with my parents is like, we always, like, my dad always brought home the toilet paper, the paper towel. Like, we always had excess of everything. So I guess when my parents came to visit us, they were like, "Oh my God," like shocked, like how we were living. But it was a different time. We were literally scraping by, newborn. So thank God they came. Thank God they helped us. They've literally been our saving graces. They've helped us tremendously. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
They're my parents. They love me.
Absolutely.
And they love you, and they love our kids. Our kids love them. Obviously, they're watching.
Yeah,
Hi, Mom.
your family has done a lot for me. A lot.
They love
for
you.
Me. Yeah, of course, and I love them too.
Your job.
And,
my cousin got him into the union.
Yeah, my kujin,
So,
my rabbi,
it's my family.
He got me my career. He put his neck out on the line, and I don't even know if he listens to this or watches this, but
if he does, he did that for me because I'm his cousin.
Yeah, and it's something that's very much appreciated, and it gave me this avenue too to come and do this Blue Collar Charlie and all this other stuff, and and to get to see the city and all different types of fashions, from the highs and the lows of the city.
Fashions like clothes.
No, like fashions like of like views. Like I'll be in the sub cellar of like some parking garage in a pit, with like the grime and dirt of New York. And then the next minute I'll be
You better wash your hands.
I do. But then the next minute I'll go upstairs to the motorroom, and next thing you know, I'm slapped in the face with like the Empire State Building and the most beautiful view I've ever seen in my life.
I love the city.
And so, but that's all, thanks to her family. And yeah, I wouldn't have this place that I'm in if it wasn't for her father helping us out getting in here. There's stuff I said in like previous episodes too, where it was like, just be the hardest worker in the room. And
is that about my dad?
Yeah, like your
dad.
Said
your uncle, my uncle.
Yeah, your uncle.
My dad. I hope my dad's listening because he was like, he listened to it and he was like, I told him that.
Yeah, he was offended. It's hard to articulate it during the podcast recording of like who said what, and but like now that we're having a casual conversation, it's easier for it to come out.
Yeah.
Where your uncle has definitely said that to me, where he said that he started in the mailroom and he worked his way up to be one of the presidents of the company, and he said just take it one day at a time, but just be the hardest worker in the room. And yes, he said that to me, and that's something that stuck with me. But your dad did always say, like, don't worry about tomorrow, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, just go to work, keep your head down, do what you got to do. It all comes in time, and he always says, I've done anything you can think of. So you come to me for any advice. So it's always, we're hard-headed over here. So
go to my dad because he's retired now.
Yeah, so we're hard-headed, but we definitely have to lean on the other people in our lives. To
it takes a village.
It takes a village.
And shout out to those single mothers out there that don't have a village. When if you're by yourself, you have kids. If you're watching this, I see you, I feel you. I don't, because I have a husband, obviously, but I understand how hard it is to be a mom in general, and I can't imagine doing it alone. So, God bless you guys. It's not easy. It's another job. We have another job. We have 2 jobs.
Absolutely. Shout out to all the dads out there who do the
definitely
same
shout out to
thing.
all the dads, especially my husband. He is hands down the best dad. You know, my kids love him. My daughter, especially. I mean, my son loves him too, but my daughter, he is a true daddy's girl, and he could do no wrong in her eyes. And you know, when I was pregnant, I have to admit, I was nervous. I was like, "Is he gonna get this?"
Read a book. What book?
Yeah, I had books.
I ain't need no
I was
book.
like, "Read a fucking book."
Nah.
He's like, "I'm going to the gym." I'm like, 500 pounds on the couch, like, "Read the book, the daddy book." And then I had the baby, and sure enough, I was a C-section, so I wasn't able to really lift or get out of bed.
And I'll never forget the lady
took over.
The lady taught me how to wipe her ass with the diaper.
Butt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were and swaddling. He was the king of the swaddle.
Oh man, yeah, I was actually really good at
good at swaddling her.
I wrapped her up perfect every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, she was so little. So
yeah.
Cute.
But Charlie didn't like to be swaddled.
No, Charlie was a different breed.
Completely
Charlie was
different kid.
You weren't really like.
Well, I worked a lot more.
He worked more, so he didn't really do the night shift, which and also Charlie was preemie, and I just felt like I didn't want to, like, I needed to take care of him all the time, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's so close to me.
Right.
Because it was just always.
That was tough, leaving him in the hospital.
Remember that night?
Yeah, I remember that night.
Oh
that
God,
was
I
tough.
could cry thinking about it. That was scary. The whole time was scary.
The whole pregnancy was tough because I was working.
I was scared that morning going there. Remember, I had anxiety before I had him.
Right. Because I was working for the paving contractor, and then, you know, we were working like crazy hours, crazy nights.
I kept having like bleeding
every weekend, like without fail, every like Saturday morning, Friday night, she would start spotting blood, and
like a lot. But it ended up being like a placenta abruption. So then I had to stop working for a little period of time, go on bed rest, and then I ended up in the hospital at like 26 weeks.
Yep.
And they actually thought that I was in labor, and they gave me an epidural. And
straight up epidural.
And I did not end up having the baby.
For no reason.
I had to stay in this hospital all night to wait for the epidural to like wear off, I guess.
Yep.
We have video of it, of me walking around with the thing. I have been through a lot with these kids. You know, when I've given my body to these kids, like I've given my body to these kids, you know. So it was tough, you know. So
it was definitely a tough pregnancy.
I definitely don't miss it. There's women that love being pregnant, you know, and love the feeling carrying the baby, but like that's not me. I just didn't love it, you know.
Well, the first one was in Florida, and you were like a panda bear. Like you were waddling around everywhere and
eating everything.
Yeah, like I have a compilation of videos on like an old Android tablet, and it's just all different videos of us just crushing food.
Oh, we
just
ate
like
so much.
Subs, like pizza, sandwiches,
hot dogs were like big thing.
Like, just
we loved hot dogs.
Yeah, we actually ate a
Why
mad
the
hot
fuck
dogs.
did we eat so many hot dogs?
I used to eat them raw too, like just
no,
straight
you
out
didn't.
the package. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
It's like bologna though. It's like bologna.
I'm
just
dead
like
right now.
You never done that?
Why did we eat? No, never. But why were we like so loving hot dogs?
I have no idea. They were cheap and easy to make.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, Charlie dips apples in ketchup.
Yeah, I know.
He like thinks it's the coolest thing.
He's like, look,
Mia, Daddy, look.
Yeah, and Mia's like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's weird.
Gross.
That's suspicious.
Mia's funny. So let's like wrap it up. Let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to work.
Tomorrow is
Sunday,
fun day.
Of God's day.
And I ended up getting lucky with some work. Lucky.
I got lucky with no husband home.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we are.
Sacrifice.
How many weeks away from vacation are we?
We're close.
How many weeks?
We're like 6 weeks.
6 weeks away from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're in full grind mode. You know, we're getting ready for the vacation. So we have class. There's mechanics review that I'm doing. You know, we're doing this podcast. We're doing the YouTube channel for the kids. You know, we're in full swing. So grind doesn't stop. You know, we are trying to put out as much content as we can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we appreciate all of the likes and the shares and the follows.
If you're watching this, like, subscribe. You know, don't just watch it. Like us, subscribe. It helps us, please. Thank you.
It definitely helps out.
We appreciate it.
Share it more than anything.
Yeah.
I want a lot of different people to listen to this. Mm-hmm. I want this to get out there as much as I can. That's the bottom line. You can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on YouTube. And you can listen to it anywhere you stream your podcast. So I guess.
Should we cheers? Oh, you finished your wine.
I finished this.
Cheers with your empty.
That does it for this week's episode.
Chintan.
I'm Blue Collar Charlie.
I'm Alba. Lucas Oli Allen.
Out.
Me too.